out of nowhere, Kristaps Porzingis voicing his frustration to Knicks management, and then breaking news, we can roll it because, wow, Woj has since tweeted Dallas finalizing a trade to acquire Kristaps Porzingis. The New York Times' Mark Stein, look at these details. He's got Hardaway and Courtney Lee are going to go with Porzingis to Dallas. Dallas is sending, according to Mark Stein, DeAndre Jordan, Wes Matthews, and Dennis Smith Jr. Ramona, how did we get here from waking up this morning when Kristaps Porzingis was the unicorn future of the Knicks to this?
Well, I think this is sort of a I'm going to break up with you before you break up with me situation, right? So his name has been out there quite a bit in trade discussions with the Knicks, especially with Anthony Davis in there. And he's obviously not playing right now. He's going to be out most of this year, if not the whole year. And I think this has been brewing for quite some time, his dissatisfaction with the Knicks. But we're getting up on the trade deadline, and if you're going to have some determination or self-determination about where your future might be, this is when you have that meeting.
Okay, but it's a long way to go from I have some dissatisfaction, as Tracy pointed out. He hasn't even been with the team. I mean,
you were sitting with me in the makeup chair this morning,
this
right?
morning
when
some of this was developing.
And it was interesting.
By the way, being around Ramona when her phone rings, and I have now done this in restaurants and cities around the country, is one of the most fun things because her phone rings and it's like, could be anyone, could be anything. And today it was like, oh, by the way, Kristaps Porzingis is about to get traded. And here we are live on the jump, and it happened during the show.
So I think this was, they've obviously had conversations about Dennis Smith Jr. For a while now in the Knicks.
Since they didn't draft him, since then.
That's right. and those conversations can very quickly expand. But the idea of trading Porzingis is not new. The question is when he walks in there and says, "I would like to be traded," then you have to make that. You have to go into here's the teams that we've called. Here are the list of teams that we know are interested. Here's what we can get back. And I think these exploratory conversations and frameworks of deals have been in the works for a long time. The question, what changes today? He goes in and says, I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So you make this deal not even knowing what Kristaps Porzingis is wanting to do because he's a restricted free agent, right? Mm-hmm. So you make this deal.
If you're Dallas.
If you're Dallas, why though?
Because we know Mark Cuban, and we know he's supremely confident. So Cuban and Rick Carlisle clearly decided, okay, we know we're taking a risk in terms of we don't know his health yet. But think about this. They are that much closer to their own super team if we're talking about big threes, right? Mm-hmm. Because you've got Doncic, you're going to have Porzingis if healthy, and Tracy and I are a little skeptical. And you still got a lottery pick. One of the things the Mavericks wanted to do, I've been told, and I'm sure you have been too, they looked at the Western Conference top 8 teams, knew they couldn't beat any of them. Yeah. So therefore, you go back in the lottery, particularly if you're near the top.
They owe their pick to Atlanta, though, don't they? It's lightly
protected. Do they have any pick?
It's protected, right?
It's slightly protected.
Slightly protected.
All right, so if they wind up with a pick, but they've got 2/3 of it.
Yeah. Yes, and look, their timeline is different, right? So when you've got Luka, your timeline is woo, right? You have a year to have Kristaps get healthy, right? It's really, really interesting
to me
that this came together so fast.
What do the Knicks get out of
DeAndre
this?
Jordan, Dennis Smith Jr., Wesley Matthews.
Does it improve the team substantially, Tracy?
It improves your chances of getting Zion Williamson.
Yeah. I think you also have to look, when you make one trade, you're also not making other trades. And so they've had a pretty good sense of what the market for Porzingis would be for the past few months. I think this is not new that they have discussed with other people what the market would be, and any general manager would do that. But I think what the big thing we've all been talking about this week is Anthony Davis.
Right.
Well, by making this trade, they're obviously not including him in a trade or an offer, a proposal for New Orleans. Mm-hmm. My understanding is that was discussed, but New Orleans did not have interest.
Yeah, if New Orleans isn't interested in him, then you move on. Do you expect the Knicks to turn around and any of these pieces they picked up today to then use before February 7th to make another deal?
Ooh, that'd be a quick turn.
Right?
But
I don't remember what the rules are on like 1-for-1s versus package deals, but
but essentially you pick up a lottery pick in Dennis Smith Jr., who has lost his job to Luka Doncic and doesn't really have a future in Dallas. But this is a nice pickup here for the Knicks because, as you said, Mike, they didn't draft him and they probably should have.
Right. And DeAndre has 1 year left on his deal.
This is his only. It was a 1 year deal, right? Or 1 year plus an option.
Yeah. And so I think this what it does is I have to study some of the math here, but they still do need to clear some salary cap space to have a max spot open this summer when we have the free agencies of Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant, who've obviously been linked to the Knicks. And I think this if off the top of my head, I think this does help them get
Really?
a little further along.
So, but this is a great question to me, though, because it might clear up some room for, say, a Kevin Durant. If you're Kevin Durant, the attraction of coming to play in New York, yes, you still have the Garden and the idea of reviving that franchise and being the guy that they finally win another championship with, but that was a lot more attractive with a unicorn on board.
So now it becomes...
Is this an attractive place to go if you're a free agent this
I
summer?
got to have a conversation with other free
second
agents.
guy.
A second guy in order for me to go and play with the Knicks versus, it's very attractive because they got Kristaps there and,
But Porzingis is coming off of an ACL injury. He has a long injury history. And if you're the Knicks and you're thinking about dealing him, who knows his injury history better than the Knicks?
Right. Well, this might be an indication of that.
Let me just go immediately for the Knicks, though. This team now with DeAndre Jordan and Dennis Smith, they're not going to lose every game. The Knicks were bad enough without Porzingis to lose every game and be in the Zion and Wesley Matthews, be in the Zion Williamson sweepstakes. Trust me, I watch this every day following being a fan of the Chicago Bulls. This takes the Knicks, to me, out of that equation.
This is why I'm
They're
asking,
not
do you think they're
lose
going to turn
every
around
game.
and deal? Do you think they would turn around and make another deal? Because having these guys...
You mean to ship these guys out so they can be supremely awful and get back in the Zion Williamson sweepstakes?
I'm just saying that I would, if I'm the Knicks, my number one goal from this point of the season on would be to have as good a chance as possible at landing that number one pick. That would be a game changer for that franchise. That man, Zion Williamson, in that building, an MSG. I mean, I don't know if they could sell more tickets than they already do. The merchandise is already high, but still, I'm sorry. I mean, the chances of that, we haven't seen a player enter the draft at this potential number one in a very long time. If I were the Knicks, would not jeopardize that. I know the lottery odds are flatter. It's not 25% for the top last place
you got to
team
be one of the
anymore.
bottom
It's 14%, but you got to be one of the bottom
They just
three.
took themselves out of that, in my thinking.
So you think that this was a mistake?
This now goes back between Cleveland, Atlanta, Chicago, and maybe Phoenix. And the Knicks just lift themselves out. DeAndre Jordan and Dennis, they're not going somewhere to tank.
And Wesley Matthews.
And Wesley Matthews, they're not doing that.
These are competitors.
Yeah.
I don't know. This then again makes me think maybe they're going to turn around and try to use these assets. There's some rule, Ramona, you know the CBA a lot better than me. You can't trade a group of guys in a package if you've already gotten him in a package, but you can't trade him for a one-for-one and like all of that. Right, but I think
we're still
you can
finding out exactly what the deal construction is.
True.
So I don't want to speak out of turn.
Yes.
But the Knicks had some work to do to get to a max free agent spot.
Right.
To have enough money to sign a max free agent.
Point,
so they still have a lot more machinations to this, but they had some work to do, and so we expected them to be involved at the trade deadline going forward. This obviously is from you have to have one star before you can have two stars. And you have to have two stars before you can have three stars. We thought Kristaps Porzingis was a star.
Right.
Clearly the Knicks are ready to say he is not.
I mean, you know who gave Kristaps Porzingis the unicorn nickname, right?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. So, when you're talking about who's attractive to whom, I don't know. But as you say, who knows his injury history or status better than the next? I want to get to LeBron while you're here as well, because you reported anyone but LeBron is available for the Lakers in trade talks. I want to know what kind of deal you think they are calling New Orleans an offering right now, because the latest word is that, the Lakers have finally broken through the I'm not picking up the phone magic. Magic has been able to
I always think stories like this are funny. And so, when teams don't take calls, right? And then the story leaks that they don't take calls, right? That always is. It's always fun to me because there's other ways around that, and eventually
email, carrier pigeon.
Yeah, there's other people who can take those calls as well, right? And so my understanding of the call today was it was just Magic Johnson and Dell Demps, and it was very high level discussion.
Dell's not going to not take Magic's call.
Right?
Rob Pelinka's call is not the same as Irvin Johnson's call.
Send that one a voice.
Not in the last 40 years have those calls been equal.
Right, exactly.
So when they finally got on the phone, and I don't think that we're any closer to some sort of a resolution, but the big question is, if the Lakers were to make the quote-unquote Godfather offer, where would that land them? In the make a deal now or wait till the summer? So the discussion that they had today essentially said to them, look, anybody but LeBron James is available. Like, let's have this conversation. New Orleans still has to decide, though, if they want to have that conversation.
In Woj and Zach Lowe's story from this morning, they basically said that right now, it could obviously change, but right now, the Pelicans attitude toward AD is, if you want to join the Lakers, you better put yourself in store for a long wait.
Yeah.
You better wait till the summer of 2020. LeBron will be turning 36. The Lakers might not even wait for you with the cap room. And if the Lakers do, they're basically wasting 2 seasons of LeBron. They're basically using up 2 seasons of LeBron James. Do you think that there is even an open road for the Lakers here, or that they are just so firmly not interested?
The Pelicans are kind of carrying the banner for all the small market teams, but not necessarily just small market, but any team whose superstar wants to leave. Right? Any team whose superstar doesn't want to play there anymore has been saying to teams, right? We saw Kawhi Leonard do this last year. You saw Paul George do it with the Pacers. And teams don't like it because superstars are what this league revolves around.
Isn't Boston a big market, though? And haven't they, the reporting I saw was Woj had last week, that they've been calling for Anthony Davis for a year and a half.
Absolutely.
So if you think someone else is after your superstar from a big market, it's both coasts.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
And it's not just that somebody's after your superstar. I think we have to just come back to a fundamental question, though, and I would be curious to get your thoughts on this too, Trace. Of players have a sense of self-determination now, and the idea that you can say, "I want to be someplace else," is a big. That's something big for owners, for other teams in the league to hear. But it's also a sense of agency, right? I think that players before you would have that. You might not want to be there, but you were sort of speaking out of turn to say, "I don't want to be there."
Well, I think a player of his caliber, Anthony Davis, have given that franchise 6, 7 years of his blood, sweat, and tears, and he sensed that they're not trying to compete for a championship. So why am I wasting my talent here, where I can go to a franchise that I know will build around me and give me the best chance to win a championship? That's all these guys want to do.
Because it feels less about small market, big market, and
It
more
doesn't matter about the markets
player
nowadays.
agency.
By the way, you had
markets doesn't
Kristaps Porzingis go to the New York Knicks
leaving
today,
the
the
biggest
biggest
market.
market,
Markets
period,
doesn't matter these
and
days.
say,
And New
I want
Orleans,
out.
New Orleans had a shot. They could have kept They could have kept Rondo and Boogie, and then you look at a
We've
different
been talking
situation.
about that. We will stick with us. We're going to take a quick break, but we will give you more on the breaking news out of New York. This is our distant replay from this date. Ramona, thank you so much for joining us. This features Mr. Tracy McGrady.
Oh, man, y'all shouldn't have.
January 31st, 2007. Look at him.
Step back was mean. I'm sorry, young fella.
Man, seeing the Sonics jerseys, that sort of thing.
Now, Paul
Look at
Pierce.
this. People say people talk about inventing the step back. I believe that's a step back without traveling.
Yeah.
Without traveling.
The most exciting week of the year
I am ready.
is